Big story, a bizarre case involving a homeowner opening fire and killing a naked intruder inside a mansion in far north Scottsdale. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Karita Devine.
And I'm Mark Curtis. Thanks for joining us. Team 12's Mitch Carr joins us live from Scottsdale Police Headquarters. And Mitch, this is not only bizarre, but really, really disturbing.
Mark and Caribe, investigators here at Scottsdale PD are still trying to figure out how the 18 or 19-year-old teenage suspect ended up inside this home after reports that he had already tried to break into another house that was about a mile away.
Police cars and investigators swarmed a ritzy neighborhood near Pima Road and Pinnacle Peak after getting a call from a homeowner reporting that he had just shot an intruder. Scottsdale police tell us the 41-year-old homeowner was outside late Wednesday night when the family dog alerted him to something wrong inside the home. So the husband and father of three grabbed his shotgun. Scottsdale police say the homeowner found the intruder naked in one of his children's rooms and that the intruder threatened him with a large piece of wood before charging him. So the homeowner fired 2 shots, killing the suspect.
A lot of homeowners feel like if somebody enters their home, they are justified in shooting that person, and that's not true.
Andy Anderson is a retired assistant police chief. He says based on what we know so far, the shooting sounds justified.
A homeowner has to be able to articulate a threat. In this situation, it sounds like that's exactly what that homeowner has done.
But that doesn't mean the homeowner is out of the woods.
There's also a civil side of these things. Even though you may be justified criminally in using deadly force, that doesn't keep you from being sued civilly or having to defend yourself down the road from maybe the family bringing a lawsuit.
Now, the biggest question still remaining, of course, who was this suspect and why was he naked inside of somebody else's house? We'll have to wait on the Scottsdale PD to give us more information on that. Live in Scottsdale, Mitch Carr, 12 News.